Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of the PrincipalED podcast. I'm your host, Grace McCallum, and I'm so excited to have a very special guest with us today, Lori-Ann Muenzer. Lori-Ann is pretty spectacular. She is a two-time Olympian and Canada's first Olympic gold medalist in cycling. Not to mention, she's been inducted into not one, not two, but 3 halls of fame. We were so fortunate to have Lori-Ann speak with our students this afternoon, where she talked about her amazing journey to become an Olympian, her journey from a legal secretary, and as you said, Lori-Ann, a floating legal secretary, to Olympic champion, and how it was not a straightforward path. Such an important story for our students to hear. At 38, while working full-time, Lori-Ann took on the challenge of competing at the highest level of sport, proving that age is no barrier to greatness. And she raced against competitors half her age, and you showed them who's boss, didn't you, Lori-Ann?
I did.
Lori-Ann, we are just thrilled that you are here today at the PrincipalED podcast. I know our community and our listeners from around the world are going to be just so intrigued by your story. We're really delighted that you're here. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's an honor to be here with you. And it was an honor to spend the morning and early part of the afternoon with the students, too.
Are they amazing?
They're incredible. Amazing is an understatement, actually.
I know, they're so special. Yeah, they're so special.
I'd like to come back to school.
You're officially invited. Will you come tomorrow?
Yes, I can. Absolutely. What time do I have to be here?
Well, we start early at school, so if you could be here by 7, that would be appreciated.
I will be.
I'll have your coffee ready. Lori-Ann, you know, I look at your story and I read your book over the weekend and it was so inspiring. We know you as this incredible athlete, a 2-time Olympian, an Olympic gold medalist. It's impressive. And I love how you're using your success. You're using it to empower women all over the world and to coach women to be their very best selves. So we look at you as this incredible athlete, but I know you're so much more than that. And there's so much more in your story. And we were talking a little bit about the podcast. You were telling me about some of the really incredible challenges that you overcame early on in life and as an early adult in this incredible journey. Would you mind sharing some of that with us?
Oh, absolutely. I think we fail our way to success. It's not a linear, straight road as we think it is. On paper, it looks pretty straight. But when you get out into life, it kind of takes a lot of turns. And sometimes it's mostly based, not sometimes, but it's based on what we're thinking about and who's around us. And connections are really, really huge. I was kicked out when I was 18. Something about having a little too much energy, I think, is what it was. And you know what? It's okay. It is. It's who I am. And I don't always fit into all of the groups. So for me, it was time for me to go. I was working full time. I finished my education as a legal secretary, was out in the world working, and it was a really good opportunity. So you figure out things very quick. And I learned after a couple of years of working that it's not all that it was cracked up to be. And I realized that I needed a physical outlet because I was overweight. I was 180 pounds. Doritos and a 2-liter Diet Coke was dinner. Like, not very good, healthy, really, but it sure tasted good. And I just decided I needed a challenge because I was bored. And that was the problem, was just I have so much energy. I need a physical and a mental challenge. And I started riding my mountain bike 2 hours before work, 3 days a week. And I loved it. And after 4 weeks, I decided I wanted to race. So I opened the Yellow Pages. And then I joined a club just north of here, actually. So, I've been driving around the area and just going back in time. I used to train on these roads, used to ride up Mount Pleasant, along Bloor Streets. I used to stop at Dufferin and Bloor where my grandma lived. And it was just, you meet people along the way that help you, but you don't necessarily realize it. And it's just, some people are real rocks and they just always are around.
And that was your grandma. You were telling me before we started that she was your anchor and she's been your rock when sometimes it sounds like the rest, of your family, even though you say it's okay and it's all worked out for the best, maybe they weren't quite the rocks that your grandma was throughout your journey.
Yep.
Tell us about your grandma. She sounds so special.
Grandma didn't really say a whole lot. She was riddled with arthritis. She had a brain tumor. She had both hips operated on. Like, sometimes I don't even know how she was able to manage, but she had loss of hearing. So I'm not sure what was going on with her, but you'd never hear her complain. And she would always listen. And I would just do things for her. Everything around the house I would help her out with. And for me, that was something really great because I could give back to her for things that she couldn't do. And she never said what I did was crazy or wrong. And when I decided I wanted to race, I came over and I had my first bicycle. It was $1,000. Like I had to take out a loan because I didn't have the money. And my grandfather used to put bicycles together in his retirement age. The little bicycles, my sister and I, we would ride, we'd test ride to make sure the brakes worked, the gears worked, because Grandma was way too big. And Grandma said to me with my first bike, she goes, I wonder what Grandpa would say. Oh, wow. And it was just, because Grandpa would take the hammer and the screwdriver and the wrench and he'd fix the bicycles. And the racing bicycles, you work with Allen keys and kit gloves because it's just a finely tuned machine. And it was just, I've thought about that so often, just going, I wonder what Grandpa would say. Because the other thing is, my first Olympics was September 15th. That was opening ceremonies in Sydney, Australia. And that was my grandma's last birthday. Oh. And I competed day one. So the next day, September 16th, 500 meters in the evening, 2 laps around the track. My event lasted less than 36 seconds. And when I finally was able to speak and catch my breath, I said, I want to win gold in 4 years' time.
She got to see that.
I'm not really sure, but it was her last birthday. So special time.
It's really special. It sounds like she was a resilient woman herself.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Is that where you got from?
Probably. I never really thought about it, but I would say, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like she modeled incredible strength for you.
Yeah.
Because you've overcome many challenges.
A lot of hurdles and obstacles, yeah.
Incredible. And I think that's what makes your story so inspiring and something that I'm so excited for our students in our community to learn more about you. It's really what we're trying to teach our students is there are challenges and that's okay. You can work through them.
And it's like what I was sharing a little earlier at the assembly is challenges, obstacles, problems. I call them COPs, COP, challenges, obstacles, and problems. And like they show up. Sometimes they're in overalls. Sometimes they're really decked up to the nines. Sometimes they're our environments. Sometimes they're like a food choice or I got to go to bed early or it's not time management, it's activity management, right? Like, what do I have on the go? How am I going to get everything done? And I always believe that there's a couple of things you have to have in place that set the wheels in motion.
You are, of course, an incredible athlete and also so impressive, a best-selling author. And your book, which I loved, One Gear, No Brakes, Lori-Ann Muenzer's Ride to Belief, Belonging, and a Gold Medal. Something really stood out to me in your book. I just thought, wow, what an incredible lesson for all of us. You said there were 2 people in the world that believed I could have been a gold medal. Me and my coach.
Yep.
So I think that's incredible. And something that I want all of our students to leave Branksome Hall with is the self-belief, like deep self-belief in what they can do and what they can accomplish. How did you maintain that? And what advice do you have for our students? How do you maintain that self-belief when there are so many naysayers as there were in your case?
I think a belief like faith, but also like confidence, like the opposite of faith is fear. When I'm teaching students in that, the word belief is it's more meaty. They can actually grab onto it where faith seems a little intangible. And it's like the belief comes from within. Like motivation is outside of us. Inspiration is within us. And, you could see somebody get really excited about what they're doing. You want to do something like it. And then it fizzles out because there isn't that inside inspire. So the breath connection. And it's just the confidence is something that comes. It can be built and then it can be lost in an instant. Because I know there's times when I had the confidence and it's like, I'm unstoppable, I'm unshakable. And then other times where it's like, oh my gosh, like, don't even look at me the wrong way.
What would make you lose your confidence, Lori-Ann? What are some things that would do that to you?
Making a stupid move on the bike that because I wasn't thinking,
Right.
I got beat by somebody who I should have been in front of. And I hate to use the word beat, but in racing, only one person can win. Or it's I didn't go in prepared enough. Like I've gotten schooled on that in the early days of, oh yeah, I think I could just wing it. And a lot of times we get a little too overconfident. Carol Burnett, like she would always talk to her grandma, right? Right. And she said, if I'm not nervous, then I know something's wrong. And when I heard her say that, I went, oh my gosh, because I had the same experience. I wasn't nervous. Everything went sideways. But if I have that nervous excitement, it's where you're literally on your toes, you're looking, you're listening, you're watching, and you're inspiring. But it's because you're breathing and you actually slow things down. And that's when you can start to make sense of so many things that are coming at you so fast. But the other thing is, I had a mantra: strong, power, no fear, let's go. And I kept saying it. And my coach, he wrote it on a square piece of paper. And he said, here, I want you to go through this. And I think it's strong, power, no fear, let's go. Why do I need this? And he said, because when I'm not around, because we would be at the same events, but sometimes we weren't, like my monkey mind would get on top of me and I'm like I'm at a World Cup. Like I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. And it would take over, but it was like strong power, no fear, let's go. Strong power, no fear. I was literally hydroplaning and it shifts your energy, but you have to feel it, Grace. Like that's the secret, is feeling it, because if it's mechanical, it's only up here. And if it's mechanical, you'll get to a certain point, but you'll never go beyond what you know you're capable of. And that's where visualization, breathing, all comes into play. Can you do your event forward or backwards? Could you do your exams? Like you may not have photographic memory, but do you know the highlights and then the complementary lowlights of each chapter? And what are the most important? But then can you explain it to somebody else? And can you do it forward and backwards? And your pen is the most powerful asset you own next to your mind, because there's a connection when you write, not on your phone or typing, but there's something that is at a cellular level.
Yeah.
That I haven't seen anywhere that explains it. Madame Montessori said, whatever the hand writes, the mind remembers. But that's not your brain. It's your mind, which is conscious mind, subconscious mind, just to simplify it into two parts.
I love that visual, Lori-Ann, of your coach like handing you this piece of paper with a mantra. I'd be like, here you go. He sounds like a character. Can you tell us a little bit more about him?
Total character. Danish Canadian. So strong mind, and we do things in a certain way, and you don't argue. So that was a bit of a learning curve there because I'm German and Canadian. So like two heads butting sometimes. We would run into that. But it was just sometimes we would do things his way, and that was probably the biggest learning curve. Was like, no, I know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm just fine. And finally in Athens, he said, all right, Munzer, we're going to do it two ways, your way and my way. I was like, okay. So we had the same setup on our bikes, and we were doing a mock match sprint, so 3 laps around the track. And it was just, I went to my pit, he went to his pit. We had the whole velodrome like for ourselves, which was amazing. Awesome. And so we did it my way. And I got beat. Like he smoked me. I got beat hands down, and I was not happy. And then he goes, all right, Munzer, we're doing it this way, this way, this way, and this way. Back to your corner. We'll come back in 20 minutes. And I beat him, but I outsmarted him. And all I got was the thumbs up. Afterwards, when he gave me the thumbs up, that was all I needed to know. I was on track. I was almost ready. And then there was one more training ride that we did that I got the thumbs up again. And it was at that moment I knew that I was ready to go by myself to Athens, because I was the only representative for track. My coach was in Edmonton waiting by cell phone to receive my calls if I ever got stuck or ran into a problem and I didn't know how to figure it out. And yeah, there were times when I called him, 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and doubt, fear. He always answered the questions, and it was really interesting because in Athens, like we had the ritual. And that's one thing in sports, is you have a ritual or a routine. And just before the big race is I would call him, and then he would talk to me and he would run me through. This time it was me saying, all right, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And he was like, yep, yep. And then there was nothing. There was silence. And it was like, okay, you gotta to give me something here because that hit me. He was always talking. He was always talking. Never a shortage there, right? And I'm like, this is unusual. He goes, give me a second. And then he goes, you're ready. All the work is done. Nobody is going to make up any difference in strength or speed. It's all a mental game. Go out, ride it, and then call me when you're done.
Lori-Ann, the myth of perfectionism, it's tough. It's insidious with young women. Um, can you share a moment in your own journey when you embraced imperfection and perhaps it actually opened up a whole new pathway for you? Um, any advice you can offer to some of our listeners who might be struggling with perfectionism themselves?
Well, that's a loaded question right there. There's so many different things my mind is just bouncing to and fro with because former perfectionist. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfection. You will do something amazing, incredible, over the top, spot on, but you will never, ever be able to recreate it in the exact same conditions, the exact same time, the exact same way. You'll get close, but it will never be an exact carbon copy. And that sometimes is a really, that's a bad rabbit hole to go down because you start, I know I started to feel if I'm not perfect, then I'm not worthy. So that was where the confidence started to spiral. If I'm not perfect or if I made a mistake, there's something wrong with me.
You're linking your self-worth to that perfect outcome.
Yep, exactly. And like I always think of self worth being what the world thinks of me. And we have two images that we hold of ourselves. We have the one that we show the world. Like if you play good poker, you're a good sportsman, or you're the perfect student, or you're the perfect wife, partner, right? But then there's the inside, the real you. And a lot of times that voice is squished, it's squelched, and it's just, okay, if I'm not perfect, then who am I? And I've always felt off or different. I don't think the same way. I've got an abundance of energy. I'd run out all the kids on the street, playing one sport to another. And my bicycle has always been my savior, my lifeline. It's just that freedom. It's that bliss of if you want to go and expend the energy, you can ride as hard as you want, or you can just tootle along. Not that I tootle along very much, but it's like somewhere in between, but you get to regulate that. And it's just when I realized that I didn't have to be perfect, like after winning a gold medal, it's like people think you're great at everything or you're really good at a lot of stuff. And I can bluff my way through, and I have because I can pick up on the nuances and the kinesthetic part. But I also know that there's things that I'm not good at, and people don't understand why. And it's like, and what's shown up is I just last summer I found out I was ADHD. And I was like, oh, okay, that explains so many things. The reason for the buying, the reason for moving, for changes, for traveling. I love traveling, but I also can't be in one spot. I need a challenge, but I also need routine. So understanding who we are as women is so huge because I don't think we spend a lot of time and there's a lot of reads that you can get into. And it's like, okay, why don't we just express how we feel? It's not right and it's not wrong, but it's how you feel. And people are squished or told to be quiet a lot with that. And that's part of the problem where anxiety, depression, suppression comes. And it's like, oh my gosh, like there's so many women that we need you because you're so good at what you do. You have a voice, you think in a different way than most people. You do things in a different way, whether it's fast or slow. And like your role in leadership here is groundbreaking. And the students that are coming through Branksome Hall are the next generation. And it's like, I wasn't kidding when I said I would love to come and be a part of here because I get so inspired because there's an energy
Yeah.
and it's a different energy and you can't always explain it.
No, it's pretty special.
It is. And it's like everybody has something so special inside that we need that.
Well, that really resonated with me as a recovering perfectionist. I keep saying we're dismantling perfectionism here at Branksome Hall, and it starts with me, which is great. I have lots of mistakes I can share of times I've certainly not been perfect. Um, you know, as an athlete, And I really hear what you said. Like, people put you in this box, right? You've won gold medal, so therefore you must be perfect and wonderful at everything. I wonder about, how do you coach the women that you're working with around this concept of like overscheduling and demanding workloads? Sometimes it's worn as a badge of honor.
Yes.
And I think it's a dangerous one. What are some counter narratives or some practical tools that you've seen young women successfully use to try to shift that a little bit?
Mm. There's a number of things that I do and when I'm working with women, when I'm working with female athletes, is number one is it sounds really cliche, but what is your goal? But what is your desire? Because sometimes a goal can be like everybody else thinks I should be doing, but it's not what they want. And when you start peeling away the layers of the onion, it's what's at the heart of you. Like, I will always ride my bike. I've got bicycle in my DNA. I am so sure of it. And it's probably because of grandma and granddad, right? And it's just that's part of who I am. And I've stopped because people said, oh, that's dumb. You're not going to make any money. You're too old. And there's those things. But if you go to the core of it, it may have nothing to do with the role of leadership that you're in or what a student is studying. It may be something totally different. And then along with that, once you figure out like what is it that you truly desire, what do you want to do and be, is who is the woman inside? Like, who are you? Because a lot of times it's, I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think I am. And it's really warped. And we're trying to sometimes please other people. But if we can get clear on who we are, what do we love? Why do we love doing those things? Why do we run away in certain instances? Why do we kind of press pause and go, I need some time to think? Those are the things that you can start to create not a new identity or a new self image, but the real, authentic you. One thing I like is the 3 L's. You do a little bit, lots of times, over a long period of time. So when I'm teaching younger students or athletes, it's the 3 L's of Lori-Ann. Do a little bit, lots of times, over a longer period of time, because the effort's going to compound and it's going to go in whatever you're working on or whatever you're thinking of. And it's going to actually stay in because if we go really hard, it's like cramming for exams. I don't remember anything I crammed for. But everything that I did, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, kind of like a little drip, it sticks. And that's the part. It's like you don't have to go out and change the world in one day. It's like, let's just do 1% better today. Just 1%. And if you're just 1% better over 365 days, you've got 365% increase. And I don't know a better ROI.
I think that is brilliant. I love the 3 L's. That is must really resonate with the girls that you're coaching.
It does because like it doesn't matter which side you're on with your friends or with ourselves. It's like do a little bit, lots of reps over a long period of time. That's sustainable.
And I think it really helps to counteract that impression of perfectionism. It has to be perfect. It has to be perfect every time, all the time.
Yep. And there's one other trick. A friend of mine, she said, do a crappy first draft. Get it out of your head. And I call it ground up. Get it out. Like spit it out, whatever you want. And then it's done. And you go, ha, that, yes, victory already.
Yeah.
And then you can start revising it and deciding, okay, what stays, what goes. And that starts to dissipate and eliminate the perfectionism.
Related to that, there's this question that drives me nuts. And it doesn't drive me crazy for the reason people might think it does. But it's this question that they ask people about, how do you stay balanced? And they don't like it when women are asked that question. But that's not why it bothers me. I think why it bothers me is it's just like another thing that we're supposed to be perfect at.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do really well and I'm supposed to have perfect balance.
Yes.
It's like an added pressure. I really believe there are seasons of our life. There are some seasons when maybe I'm going to be more balanced, and there are other seasons when maybe I'm not going to be balanced. And I think that's okay. But I often wonder if that concept of we have to do really well and we have to be balanced and perfectly prioritizing wellness, social being, and spirituality and our professionalism. Do you see that coming up with the girls that you're coaching, this idea of, and I have to be really balanced as well? And how do you navigate that with them?
All the time. I mean, it's a constant. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it started. I don't know where it came from, but it's here. So we go, okay, let's acknowledge it. Let's notice it. And then where is it that you would like to be spending more time? Where would you like to be spending less time? And it's not time management because there's no such thing as work-life balance. It's just like when I worked, my training was a little less, but then when I raced, the work was non-existent. So it's like a weigh scale or the balance scale. And sometimes it's up and sometimes it's down. It's like the seasons. It's the law of rhythm. There's spring, summer, fall, winter. It's never in the reverse order. And it's just getting to know, when are you at your best? Like, which months are your best? When are you kind of slow and maybe low? Right? It's not just sad, the winter seasons. It could be different times. There's different people with their energy are going to do the different thing, but it's being and creating that awareness. So I work with women to help wake them up because a lot of us are on automatic pilot because we just got to do everything. So we're just going check, check, check. Yeah. So it's creating the awareness, and it's this beautiful triangle. The bottom left-hand corner is awareness. The top plate is understanding. And then the lower right quadrant is application. Because if you're not applying what you're understanding or what you're aware of, it's not going to go in. So, with that, it's a beautiful stepping stone staircase, like, but it's a triangle. So, awareness, then comes understanding, because I don't know what I don't know. And I realize, well, there's something missing. And then when you understand, like what the students start to get, oh, I understand the lesson now, why it's important. Then they go out and apply it. Then it sticks.
Yeah. I love that. And I think, of course, you never want to be wildly out of balance. That's really unhealthy. But this idea of being like having those scales, as you described, be perfectly equal all the time is like another added pressure. I love the way that you described that triangle. That's great.
The bottom of the triangle is when we're sleepwalking, when we're on automatic pilot. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I can erase that and I can start to wake up. And I was like, oh, well, it's a beautiful day. It's the sky is blue, the sun is shining.
Maria, tell me more about that. I love this idea of autopilot. How can we tell if we're on autopilot?
Ask them what their goal is.
They don't know.
They have no clue. Ask them, who is the real you? I don't know if you remember, there was a show when I was growing up. I don't know if it was the 70s or the 80s. And it was, will the real Margaret show up? And there were three women. And this was Margaret, that was Margaret, and this was Margaret. And they would talk to the audience convincingly. But only one of them was the real Margaret. And it was like, you would have to figure out which of the three women was Margaret. And it was like, this is really interesting. So there's the belief and the belonging. You know, do you have your people? Do you have your tribe? Do you have your clubs? Like you were talking about mentorship and sponsorship. Holy moly. Like, wow, that is just a whole other level of support. Sometimes it's just knowing you've got one person in your court
Like
that's
grandma.
there for you. Yeah, grandma. Absolutely.
Like, well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about mentorship and sponsorship. And you mentioned it a little bit. You had your coach, you had your grandma. All right, so anyone else that served as a mentor or a sponsor for you? And I like to highlight the difference between those two things. I think both are critical for women. Yes, mentorship is so key. Learning how to ask for it is key. And I look at sponsorship as a different kind of person. That person that's going to speak your name in rooms that you're not in. The person who we talk about the glass ceiling, but we forget about the sticky floor. Who's going to pull you up off that floor into your first position? That's kind of how I see the differences there. Is there anyone that you want to tell us about? Anyone in your life that was either a mentor for you or really served as a sponsor?
Oh my goodness. I was thinking about that, and I had a really special massage therapist, and she was just amazing. And when I told her what I was going to do, I was going to go and I was going to the Olympics. I was going to win a gold medal. She said, wow, this is going to be an adventure. And I thought, no, that's a really interesting thing to say. But I got to know her. She got to know me. And that, like, she really gave me everything that she had. Um, Yeah, sometimes we would just go for coffee. Like, literally just coffee. It's like, I don't really need a massage. I don't need a tune-up. Um, but I just wanted that connection, and it's that connection that it's literally like a plug in a wall going in, and it's solid, or it's removed, and it's like the worst thing you can feel is on the island when there isn't that connection, and it's like, like I had a sponsor, Shimano. uh, they do all the bicycle parts, the equipment, and they're sort of like Fisher Price, so they were the only ones I did not break because I would go through equipment like crazy. And Greg Hammond was the sales rep, here, actually just around Peterborough area. And I don't know, he saw things in me that I didn't see. He was a rock, he was a supporter, he was a believer, and he did everything in his power, like, to make sure my equipment was top notch, that it was working, that I had extras. Because as Canadian athletes, we're not funded a lot. Like,
Right.
I lived on a shoestring budget,
Right.
so there's not a whole lot.
I love that you talked about so many different levels of mentorship and sponsorship. We opened our school year this year by with just that, saying the power of noticing, the power of seeing something in someone else that they might not see in themselves,
Yep.
and how the impact that that can have is really not measurable. And I think you've highlighted that very, very well.
Yeah. And the cool part about that, because we were talking about confidence and belief, is that, like, I will say to my athletes or the women that I'm working with, borrow my belief in you. Borrow what I see in you because it's there. You're just not seeing it yet. And I see it already. I know you've got it. It's just that 1%, just bring it up just a little bit more. And sometimes that's all you need. It just reinforces there's somebody here. And it's like, what if dot dot dot? What if I spent 5 more minutes studying? What if I spent 5 minutes visualizing? What if I spent 5 minutes just sitting being quiet in the sun? And a lot of times as women, by doing everything and having to get it right, is that to go faster, we need to take more breaks. Even a 5 minute, cross your legs in a really good chair, get into a good position, put your timer on, and just take 5 minutes and just focus on the breath, the in breath and the out breath. It's like the waves coming in, the waves going out. That's enough to go and do a central nervous system reset.
Borrow my belief in you. I love that. I'm going to use it.
Yes, please. Like, share it, spread it.
That's beautiful. Well, Lori-Ann, I just have one more question for you that I think is the most important question I'll ask you today. Where do you keep your gold medals?
Well, right now it's in my back pocket.
Oh, show us.
So I have it here. This is the best part because I think it's a perfect size. It's enough to fit in the palm of your hand. So I've literally, put the strap around my hand, wrapped it up, and dropped it when I was speaking. I had it in my pocket when I've been doing events, and it's just the energy from it.
Wow. Well,
It
thank
is
you for giving this to me. I really appreciate it.
no problem.
This is one amazing. I've never held a gold medal before, and I never will again. I can be sure of that.
But you know what? It's incredible. It's not just for sport, the gold medal. Everybody has a gold medal of something they dream, something they desire within themselves. And it's not just about riding a bike or going to the Olympics. That was my dream. And it's all about going after your dream, going with other people. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others because you will learn so much. You will shorten time frames and you will just rock it.
That is incredible advice. Lori-Ann, this has been such an inspiring interview. I feel like I could talk to you for the next 2 weeks and not get bored.
Thank you.
But of course, we want to be respectful of your time as well. And you've given us so much of it. I do want to end with our speed round of questions. Okay, so are you ready?
I think so.
We are developing a Breaks Hall Spotify playlist with all of our guests and their songs. What song is something that you love and you play on repeat, Lori-Ann?
I have two.
Awesome.
I can never choose one.
That's
Like,
okay.
those two.
Perfect. We could build that playlist a little faster.
So I don't know if it's Queen or Freddie Mercury. Don't stop me now. Oh, awesome. I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball. And I'm just thinking, if I get on my bike, I just want to dance and just ride. And pink's trustful. I love pink. Anything of pink is like, she just rocks. She rocks. And like wherever she is, I'm going to see her.
So it's just going to be awesome additions to our playlist. What's a guilty pleasure that you'll never give up?
Lint chocolate.
Of course, Lynn in Switzerland.
Yes. Yes. And, just not like one little ball. It's got to be at least a handful. And there's another one too. Reese's peanut butter chocolate eggs. They come around at Easter.
I might have had a few weekends ago. I might have had more than a few.
I only buy 4.
Oh, you're smart. I didn't do that. My nephews were visiting, so I bought a lot, and I ate most of them.
Well, I ate all 4 in one sitting.
What's the profit? That's a gold medal attitude right there. And a glass of milk. Perfect chaser. So, if you could switch lives with one person for a day, who would it be?
Tina Turner and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, awesome. Those are good
Always,
ones.
always, always loved Tina Turner. I saw her down at Ontario Place. Cyndi Lauper opened up for her. Cyndi Lauper opened up for Tina Turner. 724 was amazing. Legs, like energy, music. She is just incredible. And my all-time hero has always been Jamie Lee Curtis. I have no idea what I would say if I ever met her, but yeah, she has always been my hero.
Awesome. Best piece of advice you've ever received?
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. Is when it's simple, you've reduced all of the noise, all of the excess, and you have the essential, the most important thing.
And our last question, Lori-Ann, what would you like to be remembered for?
Planting seeds. Planting seeds of ideas. When I spoke with the athletes, I said, like, I'm a gardener, I'm a farmer. I plant seeds. And it's like this, my Olympic gold medal, sparks ideas quicker than anything else that I can think of. I don't know if you have come across something, but you get people in a room and you get them talking and thinking. And when I share my Olympic gold medal, the ideas they just come like crazy. And then it's an energy thing.
I love that. That gold medal is like a superpower.
It is. I think it is.
Well, it has been such a pleasure to have you today. What an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for being so generous with your time. And I want to thank all of our listeners and all of our viewers. You can stay tuned for more episodes, listen, watch, like, subscribe, and share, and reach out to us at principaled@branksome.on.ca. Tell us what you think. Let me know who from our community you'd like me to interview next, and we hope to hear from you soon. So until next time, bye for now.